You've heard the old saying that they don't build them like they used to. That's not exactly true. Did you know that there's a furniture factory in Manlius, New York that can build furniture as strong as this? Well, today we're at the Stickley Furniture Company, and we're going to show you how they build furniture stronger and better than they did 100 years ago. Craftsmanship is the hallmark of every piece of furniture produced at the Stickley Manufacturing Company. Only select pieces of medium and top-grade white oak, cherry, and mahogany are used to build this furniture. And each piece is truly a work of art, mostly handcrafted by expert woodworkers with an eye for quality and detail, while utilizing the latest in computerized drills and routers for speed and accuracy.
Paul, one of the special features of a piece of Stickley furniture is that you tongue and groove the solid pieces that goes into your tabletops. Why do you do that?
Well, Steve, that's correct. And as you can see on each end of these boards, you have a tongue and a groove. What that allows you to do is it gives you much more gluing surface. That when you apply the glue here, put these two together, you're going to have a much tighter bond and a much stronger joint on that tabletop.
So what happens after it's glued up?
This particular table will be put on this computer-controlled work center, and we will fully machine it. The white pods which you see are the positioning pods that tells the operator exactly where to put that board to be able to machine it properly. No, he does not have to measure it. This particular piece of equipment has multiple heads on it. And what that allows you to do is not only size the actual piece or cut it to the finished size, but it also allows you to put special shapes on it. It allows you to do routing for actual inlay, and it also allows us to do the final finished boring on the piece, so that what you end up with is a fully completed half top of a table ready to go into the sanding operations and then final assembly.
But most of the work requires a human touch. Precision sanding, polishing, and inlay work are hands-on jobs that no machine can duplicate when it comes to quality.
Well, Paul, one of the unique things that the machine we just have seen can do is cut a groove for veneer inlays. You guys do a lot of that type of work?
We do a fair amount of that type of work, Steve, and as you can see, this happens to be a decorative wood inlay. The reason why we use this is that this can add a lot of interest to the different pieces which we produce. In this particular piece, we routed a groove in, and what Dawn is doing is she is sitting the inlay down into that groove. She will use glue to actually adhere that to this groove. It looks like it's being put in upside down, and that's because there's a tape backing. This is actually made out of wood. The tape backing holds that together so that you can insert that into the groove. Then what will happen is after that has been fully inserted in the groove, we will take this over to the sanding department, sand off the actual tape backing so that you expose the decorative inlay around the piece.
Looks great.
It makes for a beautiful product.
Well, Paul, it sure takes a lot of craftsmanship to make a piece like that. I'm really impressed with the precision that goes into these pieces.
Well, you're right, Steve. We can use a lot of high-tech new equipment to be able to manufacture the individual parts to very high precision. The problem is that you still need a skilled craftsperson to be able to take those sub-assembled parts and be able to fit them to their assigned opening so that they operate properly.
Well, you know, when selecting a piece of furniture, most people tend to think of, you know, the finish and the type of wood, but the joinery or the way the piece is constructed is really, really important so that it's strong.
Well, you're right, and I have a very good example of that here. In each one of our drawers, we use what's called a dovetail construction, and that's where you have a male and female part that will interlock with one another as you put them together, and then once you put them together, they're not going to come apart.
That's all solid wood, too.
Yes, this is all solid wood that we use.
One of the things I noticed, too, is these bottom support rails actually are joined the same way with a dovetail-type joint.
Each one of our cross rails, we do end up putting a dovetail on it so that that will interface with the end panels and they will lock together so that they will not come apart as well.
Well, talking about drawer construction, that's really important. And I notice here that you don't use any metal rollers.
No, we use a three-point system where each one of our drawer sides has a groove in it, and then we also have a center guide on the bottom of the drawer.
I notice that you have this stamp number 32. What does that mean?
Well, the number 32, as I mentioned, each one of these doors and drawers will be fit to their individually assigned opening.
Custom fitted.
Custom fitted so that it operates properly. This 32 aligns with the 32 that you can see right here on this cross rail on this case. So this is where this drawer is meant to go on that case.
Paul, this looks like an orange stain, but really it's only the first coat.
Yes, Steve. We put a lot of time and effort into our finishing process, and this orange coat, which you see on here, is just a base coat for the final finish. What this gentleman is doing is he is actually putting on hand-applying stain. The reason why we hand-apply all of our stains here at Stickley is that we want to bring out the beauty, the natural beauty of the wood. And by hand-applying the stain and working that into the grain, that will allow the actual grain to pop out at you so that you can see that. After he goes through the actual staining process where he wipes this down to a consistent color, this particular piece will end up going through several different top coating operations.
That's the final finish.
That's the final finish, where we will put the final sealer on the piece, allow that to dry. After that is dried, then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the rubbing operation to actually finally finish this particular piece of furniture. Here you can see the actual rubbing process taking place. This happens to be a several-step process. The first steps were already gone through, where he's used various different types of machines to actually cut down some of the surface and take some of that lacquer finish off.
It feels like glass.
It does feel like glass, and what he's doing is he's actually doing the final steps now, where he's using various compounds at different grits to actually get all the final scratches out.
Well, this really looks like an heirloom piece.
Well, we pride ourselves here at Stickley on making heirloom pieces that will last for generations to come.